Neat Somnipods 3. Ultra-thin sleep earbuds designed to block noise and help you rest better.
These are marketed as the thinnest noise-cancelling sleep earbuds. So, sleep tech. But thinness, well, isn't the test. The real test is this. Can you forget they exist? Because sleep tech doesn't compete with AirPods or Beats by Dre or those massive cans you normally put over your head produced by Sony. You see, it competes with snoring, traffic, and a racing mind at 2 a.m. So this isn't a spec review. This is a UX stress test. Now the real job here isn't to play audio. We're talking about comfort, noise attention, trust, and the 2 a.m. workflow. It's reduced friction between being awake and being asleep. Now, if I'm thinking about the product, well, it failed. I didn't just test these myself. I conducted independent usability testing with real users who experienced a variety of sleep challenges. Now, a huge shout out to FitNexa for sending several of these products so I could do that test with multiple people. But then, of course, afterwards, I was able to test it myself and validate all the feedback I got from those users as well. And why did we do that? Because this category isn't about preference, it's about patterns. And patterns surfaced quickly. First, the safety instructions. Now the print is extremely small, and that was noticed by multiple users, not just myself. And so it was effectively unreadable, which is the feedback we got from them. Now that's not aesthetic critique. That's what you'd call accessibility friction. Now, if critical information requires perfect eyesight or a magnifier, well, the UX failed before power on. Now, a QR code would have been a much more readable option, a way to go, so to speak, so you could have a readable digital guide. That would have probably outperformed the microprint by far. Second, the ear tip packaging. Now, there is a small box containing alternative sizes, and there's a lot of variation there as well, which is a good thing. However, it isn't clearly signposted. Testers noticed that it could easily be discarded without realizing its importance. And that's probably due to the minimalist style of design that the box came with, which does look very nice. Now, testers noted that this could easily be discarded without realizing its importance. And you could see that because whilst this box does look very nice from a minimalist design perspective, it's actually quite easy to miss because it's stuck underneath the inside of the top of the box. Most users take the box off, put it to the side, and they look at the actual sleep tech itself. So you can see why it seems easy to miss. And in sleep tech, fit determines comfort. Comfort determines retention. Retention determines trust. Now, fit options shouldn't feel optional. Now, here's the important counterpoint. The packaging is primarily paper-based. So the outer sleeve, as I've just shown you, rigid paper wrap box, molded paper pulp tray. Accessories are in small paperboard boxes, so there's no plastic, there's no film lamination, mineral oil-free inks, and materials comply with a host of things. Now, these are important to say, of course. So we're talking about RoHS 2.0, REACH, POPs, PAHS, and CA65. Now, these are international standards for those who don't know what that is. And these basically are standards that limit the amount of hazardous substances that can be put into consumer products. Now, most of it can enter local paper recycling streams. So that's important to understand. So from a sustainability standpoint, this is obviously a deliberate form of design. It's engineered. This isn't accidental. But you see, here's the UX tension. We can already see that this does look good. The minimalist design does help to speak to its quality, as we can see. However, the friction point is, when you remove the plastic windows, lamination, and glossy cues, you also remove certain discoverability signals. So the sustainability goal is strong. The information hierarchy needs stronger signposting. So that's a systems trade-off. And trade-offs is where UX lives. Now pairing, that was straightforward. Connection was smooth. Firmware updates, see, that was prompted immediately. And here's the UX tension. You don't expect a firmware update on a device you've just opened that is brand new. Now what that does for the user, that introduces doubt. And in testing, the update failed twice before succeeding. But of course it did eventually work. And there was tremendous support provided by the FitNexus support team. And I hope that's the same level of support that will be given to any customer that would buy this product right here. But first impressions create emotional peaks. And emotional peaks, they shape the memory. But what about comfort and physical design? Well, for accuracy, the Somnipods, they're 9.9 millimeters thin and they weigh 3.3 grams per earbud. Now that's genuinely lightweight. That's actually quite impressive. They include 9 alternative tip configurations plus the ear wings as well. So fit isn't optional here. You see, fit has been engineered, so comfort has been something that is high on the engineering priority list. The comfort testing I performed in this UX case study included side sleeping, rolling, 30-minute pressure checks, retention, without micro adjustment as well. Can it stay in your ear? And if you're micro adjusting it throughout the night, that's keeping you awake, right? Now, for most testers, the comfort did hold up, which was good. Minimal protrusion, low pillow talk. Now that matters more than spec sheets. Now it's important to balance that because at a core hardware level, the fundamentals are solid. After 2 weeks of personal testing, the earbuds sit flush in the ear. I noticed this as well. They don't protrude, and that's excellent for side sleepers. And for side sleepers, that matters. You can rest your head on a pillow without constant pressure points or feeling the need to adjust them. Or even just feel the pressure points because you're leaning and it's pushing into your ear. That can be really uncomfortable. But they also come pre-fitted with the most common size tip, which actually works well for most users. And for myself, after experimenting, I found that the most common size that were pre-fitted actually were the ones that worked for me. But it's still worth experimenting. I must say that make sure you find the right size for you. Because with sleep earbuds, fit isn't just comfort, it's performance. Seal affects noise isolation, and noise isolation affects sleep. Volume control is also well balanced. Not overly aggressive, not too quiet, which is important in this category. Because sleep audio should be able to fade into the background and not dominate the attention, which essentially keeps you awake. So from a pure hardware standpoint, comfort, fit, and baseline usability. These earbuds, this sleep tech is doing what it should, which is a good thing. Now the case design surfaced an interesting pattern though. See, female users described it as resembling a makeup compact. Now that isolation signals personal care, ritual, and familiarity. Now male and female users alike though commented on texture and sturdiness. So there's decent build quality with this product. Now in sleep tech, tactile feedback equals trust. Wireless Qi charging is included as well. And at this price point, well, it's expected. Some competitor sleep products don't offer that at all. So this shifts the product into what I would say is, well, a more premium level of product. But of course, it's still affordable. So it's in that affordability tier, but it's still, again, it's a premium product. But here's the important context. Now, I've personally tested over the years a variation of sleep plugs in the 200 to 250 range. Now, those have no wireless charging, no ANC, no audio connectivity, just high-grade silicone for passive isolation. And well, they work because they isolate noise. But the distinction here is really important because we're talking about passive noise isolation versus active sound management. Somnipods sit in the second category. Now, they don't just block noise, they allow controlled ambient input plus ecosystem support. Now, for users who need sound layering in addition to silence, well, you see, that's a meaningful step up. See, FitNexus does claim up to 42 decibels reduction of noise under laboratory conditions. But in practice, sleep ANC isn't about silence or the lab. It's about attention dampening. Now, if traffic becomes texture and snoring becomes your background hum or your brain stops scanning, see, that's the real metric. Now, the 2 a.m. workflow, what about that then? Well, at 2 a.m., Can you reseat them without lights? Can you find the case? Does anything beep or flash? Which again can trigger the wrong things within your eyes, your brain, and that can wake you up. Bedtime is not decision time. You see, more friction here multiplies frustration within any user who may be using products like this or this product if that occurs. So does anything beep or flash at night? Now, these do flash at night and they do cause a small degree of friction, especially waking up your brain as it flashes when you find a product. Can you find it at night? Well, there's no light for you to indicate that you can. If your room isn't completely dark, you probably may be able to find this case because it is fairly light in color and texture as well. But keep in mind, bedtime is not decision time. More friction here multiplies frustration. But when it comes to battery life, I don't judge the battery by what the hours. Well, I judge it by the mental load. So good sleep UX feels like, well, I didn't think about it last night. I didn't even know it was in my ears. See, bad sleep tech feels like, well, I had to calculate if I charged it the night before, will it last the night, and things of that nature. What's our verdict on the hardware, the physical product? Well, the hardware addresses the right problem. Comfort, attention control, material sustainability, category clarity. But the real product isn't the earbuds. It's the behavior system inside the app. In part 2, we examine behavioral sustainability because sustainable design isn't just about paper and pulp. It's about nervous systems. Now, before I wrap up, here's the UX principle lens because this product isn't good or bad in isolation. See, it succeeds or it fails based on how well it aligns with human behavior. Now for this review, 6 UX principles mattered the most. Well, 1, the peak end rule. First impressions dominate memory. 2, Hick's law. More choices increase friction. 3, Fit's law. Small targets increase effort. 4, Aesthetic-Usability Effect. Premium feel increases the tolerance. 5, Findability. Critical elements must be easy to find. And 6, Tesler's law. Complexity cannot be removed, only moved. And that's the difference between features and experience. Thanks for watching. Stay present, stay curious. And I'll see you in the next one because that's when we talk about the software.